This is how to create glitch effects in Premiere Pro. Before we get into it, I just want to say that this effect can be applied to any image or logo. And as a bonus, if you stick around to the end of the video, I will show you how to add sound effects to this glitch technique. If you find the video helpful, at the end, don't forget to subscribe. So we're going to start by just adding some text. There's my text size, about 400, Monster Rat font, black. We're just going to center it. Now we're just going to make sure our text is about a second long. Now we're going to add an RGB split. So we're going to come into effects and we're going to say RGB, and we want the color balance RGB. We're going to drag that into our piece of text. Now we're just going to duplicate it. So by clicking and holding Alt, duplicate. So we had 3. Now I'm just going to select all 3 of these. I'm going to hold Alt and I'm going to duplicate all 3. So we're just going to add some effects to this one, and we're going to leave these with no effects for the minute. So on our first layer, what we want to do is we want to make it red. So here we have our color balance that we added, the color balance RGB. We have red, green, blue, and we have their numbers there. What we want to do is we want to take the blue away by selecting 0 for blue and 0 for green. And what we want to do is we want to come down to opacity, blend mode, and we want to do screen. And we're going to basically do the same again for the second layer, but we're going to make this blue. So this time we're going to take the red out, set red to 0, green to 0. We're going to leave the blue 100. And we're going to come down to blend mode and we're going to go screen. We do the exactly same for the third one, but this time we're going to make it green. So we're going to set the red to 0, the blue to 0, the green will be 100. And we're going to come down and we're going to go blend mode and we're going to go screen. So now we have 3 layers. One's red, one's green, one's blue. So now we're going to take our first layer. So select your first layer, which is the red one. And all we're going to do is we're going to position it slightly off. We're going to offset it a touch to kind of give it a glitch effect. So in position, this is our x-axis and this is our y-axis. So we're going to select our x-axis and we're just going to lower it a touch, moving it across. And we're going to add a keyframe, selecting the little watch. And there's a diamond there to show it's a keyframe. Now we're going to come across 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, pressing right direction on your keyboard. And we're going to set this back to 0. You can do that by reset perimeter. So that will set it back to the original state, which is 960, sorry. Now we're going to come across and we're going to go 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. We're going to move this across again. You don't have to be exact. It's a glitch effect, so it can be quite natural. And we're going to come across again. 1, 2, 3, 4 frames. And we're going to reset the perimeter by clicking this. We're going to do the same again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're just going to position this. We're going to go a little bit further this time. And then we're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. And reset. And I think that is all we have. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's it. Okay. So all we have is a little judder movement. See? Just a very subtle little movement. Now we're going to add some animation effects. So we're going to come to wave warp in effects. It's down the bottom. Wave warp, and we're going to drag that onto our top layer, the red layer. And here it is, wave warp, and it has its default settings. I'm just going to drag our timeline so we can see the settings. So you can see the default effects. Now we're going to go wave type and we're going to go square. Our height is going to be 5 and our width is going to be 650, and our direction is going to be 0. Make sure you add these as keyframes, so click the little stopwatch. 1, 2, 3, 4. The diamonds are added, showing our keyframes. We're going to come across 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to set this back to 0, and this will be 1. And we're going to come across again 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to put our height to 5, and our width is going to be about 450 this time. We'll change it slightly, and we're going to come across 4 frames again. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to set this back to 0, 1, and 4 frames again. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is going to go back to 5, and this time we're going to go 350. So we're going to go across 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to set this to 0, and 0 again. So here's the results. So now we're going to add some more effects. I'm going to copy and paste our layers by selecting and holding Alt. I'm just going to drag that into position. Just going to drag that out here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to add to what we already made. So here's the first one we made. Goes back to normal, and then we're going to play around with this layer, this set of text. So we're going to select the second layer, which is our blue 39, and what we're going to do is we're going to add some more wave warp to this. So we're going to find our wave warp in our effects like we did before, and drag our wave warp onto our text. So here's the default wave warp effect, and we're going to do something similar to last time, but we're going to just adjust the wave warp effects this time. So we're going to have wave type square, and the height is 20, and the width is 3, and we're going to leave the direction at 90 this time, and we're going to add these as keyframes. Sorry, keyframes are already added, and we're going to come across 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to set this to 0 and to 0, and we're going to come across 4 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, pressing right direction on our keyboard, and we're going to say 20 again, and we're going to say 3, and we're going to come across 4 keyframes, 4 frames again. We're going to come across 4 frames. 1, 2, 3, 4. Set this back to 0 and this to 0, the default being 1. Come across 4 frames again. 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're going to come and say, we're going to say 30 this time, slightly different, and 3, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Set it back to 0, and that back to 1. Now I'm just going to show you the effect. Now obviously you could have just stopped after our first example, but this just adds more depth and more layers. You can see it adds this kind of blue electric line effect. Now I have an extra layer to show you. We're going to copy and paste these layers again. Just going to butt that up. And this time we're going to address the green layer. So this is our green layer, just to make sure, green 39. And we're going to add wave warp again. And we're going to take our timeline and bring it to here. So that's the default settings for the green layer. And this time we're going to add noise. We're going to come to wave type and go noise. We're going to go height 33. The width is 3. And the direction, we're actually going to go 220. So it's added this kind of noise effect, as you can see. Adds a bit of texture. So we're going to make sure these are keyframes, height and width. So we're going to come across 4 frames, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to set this to 0 and the width to 0. And then we're going to come across 4 frames, sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the height to 33 and the width to 3. And come across 4 frames again, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Back to 0. 1, the lowest it goes. And 4 frames again, 1, 2, 3, 4. 33 and 3. And finally 1, 2, 3, 4. Back to 0. You can see here the kind of noise effect it gives you. Set this back to 0 and 1. And there we have it. Show you the effect. So it adds kind of a noise, it adds a texture. So I'm just going to show you the whole thing together. No effect, the subtle effect. Then we've added a little bit more of the blue, and then we added the noise. So there you have it. 3 ways to add glitch effects to your text in Premiere Pro. Now, there is a way you can slightly embellish upon this. For example, on the first layer, the red, what we could do is we could add a transform in scale. So we could set this to just a touch of scale, very subtle, say 103, 102, around that mark. Set a keyframe, bring it back to 0. Should be selecting this. Then we could come along again, bring this out to 103 again. Come across again the 4 frames, put that back to 0. Come across again and say 103 again, and across again and set this back. So it just increases in size a little bit. Show you how that looks. You just get that kind of slightly expanding kind of look to it. It's quite interesting. And as promised, now I will show you how to add sound effects to this glitch technique. And if you are new to the channel and you like this type of content, hit the subscribe button. So to start with, you want to find yourself some audio. A glitch kind of effect would be great. I've found this, I'll leave the link in the description. It's to a YouTube video which I have just downloaded the audio, and I'll just give you a little taste of some of the glitch sound effects. It really is as simple as just placing these correctly. So if you take a good look at the audio, you can see where the graph starts to increase. So the sound effects comes in about there. So this one's actually already placed quite well. So what we want to do is make sure that the non-glitch effect is where there's no sound, and then we want to add our glitch effect whilst there's sound, so to about there. Let's zoom right in. So it stops glitching when the glitch sound stops, and then we're going to do the same. Just going to drag our non-glitch effect, butt that up, increase that up until where the sound starts. Just make sure that's correct. That's it. Grab our second glitch effect, and we're just going to increase that to as wide as to match up with the graph, the spikes on the audio. It's a touch bigger, and then it's going to come back to white again, to a standard. I'm going to stretch that out to there. I'm going to stretch that out to there, and let's play that. And there you have it. That's how you add audio to your glitch effect.